All right, friends, I cannot believe we are already in 2023. This is absolutely insane. Although I am filming this video before 2023, but I wanted to let you guys know that I'm going to be switching up my videos and putting a little bit more effort towards them. And if you've already seen my moon videos, you know they're long, they are thorough, and I wanted to give you guys even more. So, what that looks like is I'm going to be doing weekly forecasts, and we're just going to give this a trial period and see how it goes. Let me know in the comments down below, do you like this? Do you prefer just to have the new and full moon videos, or do you want the full week transit day by day energy? If that's the case, please let me know which one you prefer, because I don't want to put all this energy out there if you guys aren't really interested and if it's not helpful. I'm also going to be doing new weekly videos where I tackle subjects that are related to astrology, psychology, and likely entrepreneurship or your purpose. That's my field, that's my essence, that's my specialty. So if you are a business owner and you want an astrology business reading from me or coaching from me, definitely check me out at willisboom.com. And so I'm going to be going over really important content that I have used to transform my life and understand my purpose, my essence, how to live in my highest version of myself based off of my chart and also my intuition and what I know about myself. And so I'm going to help you guys do that too with my weekly videos. So if you guys are liking those, definitely make sure to subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you want to see more of that content, so I know what to put energy towards and what not to do. And if you have suggestions about content that you want to see, definitely let me know that in the description box down below. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. So we are talking about the first week of January 1st to the 7th, in which on the 6th, we are going to have the Cancer full moon at 16 degrees of Cancer. So we're going to talk about the full moon. We're also going to talk about the week leading up to it. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we are starting off the week, actually a little bit before, December 29th, with Mercury going retrograde in the sign of Capricorn. So wherever you have Capricorn, which we'll go over this in all the signs, is where you're going to have a moment to reflect. Where do you maybe need to refine some things that you've already started, kind of go back to the drawing board in some respects, redo some things, reflect on some things. And this could be actually, I know it's starting off the year, but it could be a really good time to sit and reflect upon this past year or even 10 years about how your life has unfolded, and ask yourself maybe what direction you want to move into next that will maybe fill the gaps where you have had kind of missing opportunities in the past. And I think that will be really helpful to ask ourselves in terms of planning, because Mercury in the sign of Capricorn is all about planning and structuring our work and understanding how we plan to structure our lives. And on January 1st, it's going to make a sextile to Neptune. So I feel like it'll be really beautiful on the 29th to start to think about the past and what we've accomplished and what we haven't accomplished. And on the 1st is when we can start to fill in those missing holes and gaps and pieces. When we start to get inspiration from the universe in this kind of dreamlike state. Not the best time to make really solid decisions, but a really great time to visualize, feel inspired, and connect to your higher self. Then on January 1st, we're also having Venus conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, and I pulled the shark card, and I definitely feel like this is what it's talking about in particular. Venus conjunct Pluto is usually a time of a little bit more intensity where we might start to see more of the truth or the depth of a situation. This could be especially be regarding relationships, money, and our value systems, but I will go over where Venus is in your chart to see where that's impacting you the most. But many of us are going to be asking maybe some deeper questions or facing some things that are unseen or unheard of in our lives. And it could come up in a sometimes sudden way, or we could attack it in a sudden way. So it's like, I'm willing to focus on this head on, just like a great white will come up from the depths and leap up into the shallows to grab a seal or whatever it's grabbing. Just like that, I feel like many of us are going to be tackling head on some of our realizations or the deeper thoughts that we're having about those specific areas of our lives. The next day on January 2nd, Venus will move into Aquarius. So the energy will start to shift a little bit. We have these amazing realizations, and then we're going to start coming into this more kind of rational and logical side of ourselves. it might feel a little bit more emotional with this shark where we're going into the depths and we're feeling this kind of intensity. And we might even feel like part of us is kind of dying off. That can sometimes happen with Pluto. And then it's being reborn in Aquarius, where we're setting our sights on something long term, where we're focusing also on how this vision is going to impact people. And it can be sometimes a little bit emotionally detached, but I think that would be actually beneficial in this specific scenario because we're coming from a more heightened emotional place when Pluto is in contact with Venus. Shortly after that, on the 3rd, we have Venus making a sextile to Jupiter, which is all about transcending some of these things that we've experienced. So if you're having some intense emotions come up and you're facing them head on, we start to get the fruits of that labor. We start to see things feel lighter, feel freer, more opportunities arise when Venus makes this beautiful sextile to Jupiter on January 3rd. This is a good time for relationships, connections, conversations, business deals, all of that. And if you guys are interested in actually seeing all of the transits listed out along with the energy of that particular day so you can kind of plan accordingly, I have a Notion template, which I'll link down below if you use Notion, where I list out transits for all of the important days. We also have on January 4th, the sun making a trine to Uranus. So this feels like a breakthrough day where many of us could have maybe some kind of erratic energy, but the unexpected that occurs during that time helps to kind of carve out a path for where we're going next. So it's like a random DM popping up that you never expected that kind of sets you down a certain trail or certain path where you get to know someone new or you start a new job as a result of meeting this person, and it kind of unfolds. And it's going to vary in intensity from person to person. But there does tend to be a sense of aliveness on a day when the sun trines Jupiter, where it feels like there are unlimited possibilities. We can break the status quo of our everyday lives and go after something new. So it feels like if there's a time and a place to go after what you want and commit to something that's brand new and make a change in your life, that to start off the new year, right? The sun trining Uranus is a great time for that. And then on the 6th, we will, of course, have our full moon in Cancer. So this means that the sun is in Capricorn. It is conjunct Mercury, which is kind of typical of Mercury. It's always, right next to the sun. It's very close. And with Mercury retrograde, there again could be some reflecting on our plans, as I've already mentioned. But the moon opposite it in Cancer is helping us connect more deeply to our sense of belonging. So maybe some of the things that we're redoing are actually helping us align more with things that feel authentic or that feel like they're very easy for us or they are in line with our gifts. They are these little refinements that we can do that make our life more harmonious, more flowing, more centered with our natural way of being. And this is not to say like don't have goals and don't push yourself to develop new aspects of yourself, but it's more so saying, how can we also really invest in doing things that are in alignment with our personality type, that are in alignment with our innate gifts and our essence? And if you don't know what your essence is with astrology, definitely check out my last video that I did which I don't know if it'll come out before or after this, but I think before, where I talk about how to find your essence in astrology and what makes you unique and part of your purpose. But I feel like this full moon is actually helping us enhance that, especially because it's also making a sextile to Uranus, which is again all about authentic expression and liberating ourselves. And a moon in Cancer is wearing your heart on your sleeve. Like the sign of Cancer is you being at home in your sweats, eating Cheetos or vegan Cheetos and just doing kind of whatever you would do behind closed doors. Like you are 100% yourself. And the sextile to Uranus is saying, let's liberate that part of ourselves. Let's make that more available in our everyday lives. And it's squaring Chiron. So there might be some elements of feeling insecure around expressing that essence, because Chiron in the sign of Aries, which it has been for a while now, is all about our individuality and our ability to own our uniqueness, but not just our uniqueness, our ability to assert that identity out into the world and feel like we are valuable, feel like we are worthy, feel like we should be our unique selves. And so this moon squaring Chiron is asking us to confront the parts of ourselves that want to maybe hold back or hide, and make it a little bit more front and center, and align our lives a little bit more with this part of ourselves. So for some of you, that could look like taking up a hobby that you've always wanted to do, or representing yourself, if you have a business, in a more authentic and vulnerable way, or showing up in a relationship and being seen more for who you are. It's about a lot of like liberation from the parts of ourselves that have feared being seen and being in our true essence. And it could also be a really powerful time for the act of creation and fertility in general. So if you're a woman or if you're interested in getting pregnant, it could be a good time. You know, Cancer is the sign that rules children, babies, yada, yada, yada. And actually Leo rules children, but it has to do with Cancer has to do with motherhood. So yeah, there's a sense of fertility here, and we don't want to plant seeds, fertile seeds that will grow into something that feels like a cage. We want to plant seeds that will help us grow out of our shell and embody more of who we are. So be thinking very intentionally about the person that you're trying to show the world, and the appearance or the heart that you're wearing on your sleeve. Because if that's in alignment with your true nature, it's going to be easier for things to grow. It's going to be more happy, and it will create true union, love, and bliss. Without that, you're just growing more separate because you're not actually being yourself. Some of us also might experience a connection more with our ancestors. So how does your unique essence and your gifts and your story relate to your lineage? And that's very much a Cancer topic. We're not just these islands. We're not made in a glass bubble, right? We are interwoven and connected with generations and history of people. And so it could be really beautiful to think back with Mercury retrograde on this lineage and how you have carried some of that forward. And because the moon is squaring Chiron, there is also maybe a desire in some aspects to diverge from the path of your ancestors and break some of that karma. So in some ways, you are carrying their torch forward of, this is who I want to embody because these aspects were beautiful and I want to represent them more in the world. I'm proud of this history and this heritage. And with the square to Chiron, there are other aspects that have kept me trapped. There are limiting beliefs about how life should be or how I should be that are inherited that I'm over. And so this full moon can illuminate some of those aspects of the self. And I think that's a lot of where the insecurity around, I don't know if I can fully show myself in this way or be vulnerable in this way. I think for most of us, it's carried over from previous generations where it maybe wasn't safe for that. And so we are inheriting this connection to our ancestors in the good ways and in the bad ways. And so this full moon will help us kind of see where those gifts are and see where we might want to break from that path. So that's what I'm saying for the overview. Let's go ahead and jump into all of the rising signs, but also make sure to watch for your sun sign because both are relevant and important. All right, up next we have Scorpio. So this is your forecast for the entire week of January 1st to the 7th. It is not a new and full moon video alone, although I will be talking about the Cancer full moon happening on January 6th. And I am very, very excited to talk about this with you guys because I'm pulling out some cards that I really feel like are very necessary for you right now. And I'm seeing a very similar message coming through around a transformation or transmutation of energy and healing. So very excited to talk about this. Let's go ahead and jump into the start of the week, which I'm actually going to reverse a little bit and start on December 29th. We have Mercury going retrograde in the sign of Capricorn, which is in your third house. So retrograde Mercury in any house is all about taking a look at our thoughts, our communication, our perspectives, where we're putting our time, energy, priorities. And that's especially true for you because the third house carries the same signature energy as Mercury and these qualities. So there may be specific ways that you've been approaching your communication style that is not working. There may be specific thought patterns that you have been ruminating on that is absolutely detrimental to your well-being. There may be certain priorities that are off balance that are keeping you very busy. So it's time for you guys to go in and do an honest assessment of these areas of your life and ask yourself, where can I improve? Where can I be more honest, more direct, more forthright, and plan for my long term in a very prosperous way? Do I need to have a conversation with someone now in a different way that will affect our relationship better long term? Do I need to change my communication style? Do I need to change my tactics and strategies and the things that I'm trying to pursue in my current reality so that I can get where I want to go long term? That is Mercury in Capricorn when it goes retrograde. And on January 1st, it's going to make a sextile to Neptune in your 5th house, which ultimately I feel like is going to bring in more positive reinforcement. It's going to feel like things are flowing a little bit better. Ideas are coming to you a little bit easier. And if you have been having difficult conversations, I really feel that this is a healing energy, one in which you can approach people with more understanding. You can see the other person, you can create more connection with the other person, and also feel more authentic in exactly what you're trying to communicate. If it's your ideas in general, it's coming up with more creative ideas, things that are, again, more authentic to where you are trying to go. So it's about aligning yourself with your vision, and the sextile with Neptune the 5th will help you do so. January 1st, we also have Venus conjunct Pluto in the 3rd house. So this is going to air out the dirty laundry. This is going to bring up all that shit in relationships or in your own value systems that you have neglected to fully address. This is going to bring up the stuff that you've buried, your insecurities, your pain, your fears, and it's going to lay it on the table to have honest conversations with people. And if it's not that in particular, it could be talking about you realizing how you've been living out of alignment and getting very clear on what you need to do in order to realign yourself. So it's about having authentic conversations with yourself or with others to, again, live more in alignment. I just feel like there might have been some kind of farce or something that you've been ignoring, or something that's like the truth needed to be here and it was kind of being pushed aside. And now the truth is here and you're addressing it and you can heal from it because it's finally honest, reflective communication happening with yourself or with others. The next day, January 2nd, Venus will move into Aquarius in your 4th house. This will help solidify things at home, bring more of an internal peace, and create this feeling of satisfaction within the home. So I finally feel settled. I feel secure. Those feelings that came up before are starting to stabilize, and it's not throwing me off kilter so much. And then the next day, January 3rd, we start to get blessings. Venus will sextile Jupiter in the 6th. We start to see improvements at work. Maybe we start to see things paying off. The efforts that we put in to communicate, to be clear, to be honest, to be direct, to drag up the bullshit from our past, be honest about our insecurities, fears with ourselves or with others, those will pay off. There will be some kind of rebalancing of the scales and a fortifying of our energy, of our mental stability that will help us move forward in a way that, again, feels lighter, healthier, more healed. And I feel like there's like a purification happening. And I think many of you guys are being asked to kind of look at the things, again, that you've been hiding from yourself, because I did pull this tiger card, which has to do with the lunar forces. And if you know anything about the moon, it's the hidden, it's the subconscious, it's the part of ourselves that we don't always see, even though it's always there. And so there's maybe something in your emotional nature that you haven't fully expressed or felt into that needed to be let out. And this full moon in Cancer is going to help you do that in a really beautiful way. And again, on January 3rd, when Venus sextiles Jupiter in the 6th, I really feel like it's going to bring not only like this mental stability, but even the potential to have improvements in career success. And I got this with the abundance card. It's like that could be a really good day for you to make money, for you to have new tasks come in, improve relationships within the workplace, feelings of worthiness. I really feel like there's fruitfulness coming as a result of this internal dialogue that you're having with yourself. Lastly, before we go to the full moon, we're having the sun in the 3rd house making a trine to Uranus in the 7th on January 4th. This is the healing in relationships that I really feel like is coming around. You are having these honest conversations and liberating yourself from any baggage of that's happening in relationships, liberating yourself from any feelings of being stuck in one way of being. And what's interesting is both of these cards are about healing, the Temperance and Star. They're about creating balance, healing, purity of heart, faith. And we can see on them, they both have this like trajectory of of light from down to up. It's like going diagonally across the images. And I do feel like this has some kind of imagery that is letting me towards thinking about a journey or a transformation of I'm coming from here to there. And it feels like that's what I was saying about transmuting energy. I feel like you're taking energy from this aspect and making it lighter, like it's going up out of your body, out into the ether. It's the density is not there as much. It just feels like a lot of purity, a lot of lightness. I also pulled the Lamb card, which has, again, a very pure essence, a very pure state of forgiveness, of love, of compassion with oneself, of starting something anew. Lambs almost feel like peace offerings. Like here is like my state of being. I'm going to return to the state of innocence. I'm going to return to the beginning. I'm going to forget the past. I'm going to let go of the burden. I'm going to forgive and forget and move on. And the lamb feels like she's shedding layers by deciding to do this, or he, or whatever. So this full moon in Cancer, I feel like is you believing. I feel like it's a lot of the healing because it's happening in your 9th house, but it's you really believing that you can move on. It's you really seeing that you can move towards a transmutation of that energy, that you don't have to stay stuck. You don't have to stay dense. This moon is making a beautiful sextile to Uranus in the 7th. It's liberation coming in through your relationships where you're like, I'm willing to move past this. I'm willing to move on from this. And really expressing your internal world is what is going to help you get there. So I feel like that's going to be really, really nice for you guys. Very healing. This moon is also making a square to Chiron on the 6th. So there can be some elements of the past that could come up where we feel sometimes imbalanced or our mental or physical health gets a little bit off kilter as a result of this. But if you are expressing your emotions, letting it out, and allowing yourself to heal as a result, those things will naturally fix themselves. So if you've had some kind of physical or even mental response to holding on to energy, which Scorpios tend to do, you guys tend to hold grudges like no other. If you allow yourself to let go, you'll notice that the physical manifestations or mental manifestations will really start to calm down. So if you've had more anxiety, if you've been angrier, if you've had constipation, if your stomach has been hurting, if your back has been hurting, those are physical and mental manifestations of holding on to this emotional energy that you need to release, let out, forgive, forget, heal, and move on. So that's what I'm seeing, you guys, a big emotional purge happening. I hope that you enjoy this week and feel the lightness that comes into your being as a result of allowing yourself to let this go and be honest with yourself and others and face those truths. So that's what I'm saying for you, Scorpio. If you enjoyed this weekly forecast and you prefer this over just having a new or full moon, let me know in the description box down below, and I hope you have a beautiful one. Bye. All right, up next we have Sagittarius. So you guys, I am doing a forecast for the week. So January 1st to the 7th instead of just a new and full moon. But I am including the full moon in Cancer, which is happening on January 6th. So let's go ahead and jump in for you guys. If you like this style of video, let me know down below. If you prefer what I was doing before, also let me know. So December 29th, we're having Mercury go retrograde in the sign of Capricorn, which is in your 2nd house. So this is a really great time for you to sit back and start to refocus on how you've been doing financially. How have you been spending money? What are your sources of income? What do you value, and how have you been showing what you value in your life by how you spend time and resources like money on it? And it's time to assess that, if it's been working for you or if it hasn't been. Because I almost feel like you guys may have had some periods of doubt or something come up recently that has come from a need, like either something stalled out or you need to like change your perspective or something. Anyway, I'm going to get into that in a second. I'm just looking at some cards. But Mercury retrograde in the 2nd, I think, will help with that process. If you've been having some uncertainty, realigning with our value systems is a really great way of knowing the right way to move forward. What do you want long term to create success for yourself financially, in your sense of security, in your confidence level, what you enjoy, what you bring to the world? All of those things can be further analyzed. And so if you've been kind of in this wishy-washy state, or things have been stagnating, or you've been uncertain, not really trusting your intuition, reconnecting with your values will help you, I feel like, know the right next step to take. Then on January 1st, we have Mercury making a sextile to Neptune. So I feel like this will also help you as well. While you're reconnecting to your values, the sextile to Neptune in your fourth will help you feel into what intuitively feels right. Because again, I feel like maybe you've been just not trusting some of your ideas. There's something here around that, where there's something where I feel like you guys are feeling stuff, but you're not trusting it. You're maybe in your head a little bit. And I feel like this week is here to help you resolve that. If you've been having some doubts come up every time you have an idea, things of that nature, I really am starting to see you kind of tackle those things this week in particular. And when Venus conjuncts Pluto on January 1st in your second house, I feel like you guys are going to start to gain a lot of clarity on some of those things that may have made you feel like you can't move forward. I'm getting like a state of like frozen, because I have the Hanged Man, and this is a state of not moving forward, of needing to change your perspective, changing your outlook. There's not a lot of progress. Like, you're literally trapped in this net. And then I have Queen of Cups, Page of Wands, and Ace of Swords all reverse. So this to me is like, there's ideas, there's inspiration, there's intuition, there's emotions that are all trying to point you in a direction. But I feel like they might be confusing you. It's like they are maybe pointing you in different directions, or you're not listening to them. There's something about these parts of you, like the things that you're excited about or you're intuitively feeling, or that are coming in mentally more so. These ideas, like there's something that's not grounded about them, that's uncertain about them. And I feel like it's because there's something inside of you that needs to be cleaned up a little bit. And that's why this full moon is happening in your 8th house. And Venus conjunct Pluto in the second will start to kind of set the scene for what this full moon is going to look like, around what needs to be cleaned up. Because I feel like there's something around you guys not feeling totally secure on your own, or like you can fully rely on yourself or for something. There's like a lack of confidence around something, where you're not able to say, this is what I know, this is what I'm committing to, this is what I'm going for, and fully making a choice and sending it. I feel like you're in a stagnation of just confusion. And I think it is, again, that lack of confidence. And I pulled the Scorpio card here, which is saying that there is definitely something beneath the surface where you might be trying to protect yourself from it by not moving forward. And I think Venus with Pluto in the second will help reveal whatever it is you've been trying to hide or bury, to not face by not taking action. And so January 1st could be a really good day to maybe journal about what that could be for you. And then the next day, January 2nd, we have Venus moving into Aquarius in your 3rd house. This is going to bring a lot more clarity. And I think it's going to bring a lot more positivity and evenness to your mind. Like, I'm almost seeing like there's like bumpiness, and you're just like on this roller coaster. And it's going to bring this like evenness of, this is what I want, or this is what I'm focusing on right now, even if I don't 100% know everything. And it feels like a soothing energy coming from your mind. And then on the 3rd, Venus will sextile Jupiter in the 5th, which will continue this sense of soothing, and it will help you reach into more positivity. It will help you feel like there's something great on the other side of all this, like you're going to experience some relief. But I'm really sensing that there's like a big internal transformation happening, and that is this full moon in Cancer in your 8th house. But before that, on January 4th, we have the Sun in your 2nd making a trine to Uranus in the 6th. So this is, I feel like, going to help start solidify some ideas for you. So if you were feeling like just stagnant, I'm really sensing that there's going to be a little bit more momentum on the 4th, where there could be like a new task that you start, or a new way that you start working on your mindset. There's something here where it's loosening up this like really dried, hard, compacted earth and making it a more fertile ground that's like loose, rich black soil to plant your seed. So there's something that was stagnant, compacted, not working, and you're loosening it all up by having a different thought or approach or routine that will help you when you plant the seed. And I think that the full moon will help you with that seed planting. Even though new moons are about planting the seed, I really feel like this full moon is helping you prepare the ground for when you will plant that seed later. And this full moon is happening on the 6th in Cancer in your 8th. And I'm getting so many cards around like deep inner searching and Scorpio and a Phoenix rising from the ashes. Like there's so much energy around overcoming the darkness and the shadows. And especially this Hermit card, it's like you're doing this deep inner searching within yourself around who it is that you are, what you have to offer, and why you should be confident. And I feel like you're going to rise from the ashes of this, of like the thing that you were trying to protect yourself from. You're going to transform as a result of doing the inner work, as a result of this experience. And so I feel like you are going to use whatever you're trying to protect yourself from as fuel, go straight into it, go straight into the fire, and use it as fuel to become a transformed person. And I think a lot of it is like emotionally looking at yourself and maybe looking at your past and your family and all that to understand why this is happening. This full moon is making a square to Chiron on the 5th. So there's something around blocking your light, blocking your gifts. I feel like you're not confident around fully owning those unique gifts, and it's leaving you confused and stuck. And I feel like there's something here emotionally where maybe in your childhood you weren't allowed to express your gifts weren't honored in some way, your creativity wasn't nurtured, and now it's your opportunity to do that for yourself, because you are meant to shine that out into the world right now. And whatever emotional blockages are coming up are temporary. So just know that you're going to have more success, especially at the next new moon. And this moon is also making a sextile to Uranus in the 6th. So it can bring about more positive changes in your work environment and your routines, your health, your mental health, by finally removing these blockages. So it's like, okay, now I can start working towards something. Now I know a little bit more about how to take action, or I feel more balanced within myself. So I'm not putting out fires. I can actually sit down and work. It might not be the full enchilada. I kind of feel like that's the new moon where you're going to plant that seed. But I'm seeing that you, again, are preparing and doing things with more gusto, because you're not kind of taken aback by these emotional fires inside that may have also been subconscious. Like they may have been really pushed down and repressed, which is kind of the feeling that I was getting, because the Hangman is like such a stagnant card that it's like, but it felt like you didn't even fully know why you were not moving forward. It's like you did, but you didn't. And I feel like on the 1st, when Venus conjuncts Pluto, you'll really see, and then even more so on the 6th with this full moon in Cancer, you'll really see what that was holding you back. So very powerful time for you guys. A lot of emotional reflection. I know in my readings for you over the past few months, you've had significant growth and really moving and reaching towards new horizons in your life. And I feel like this is an important check-in point, because whenever we reach for that next star, that next level, we encounter the next level devil. We encounter things that challenge us to step back down into our comfort zone of familiarity. And we have to push past these psychological experiences to embody that next identity. So it's always a process. It's always a cycle. And you can't have growth without that hurdle. So just knowing and accepting that, I think, is really helpful, because it's indicating that you are transcending into that new version of you, which is very, very exciting. So if you enjoyed this reading, let me know in the comments down below, and I hope that you guys have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, and next we have Capricorn. So for you guys, I am doing a full week forecast instead of just the full moon. So we're looking at January 1st to the 7th. And we're starting off with Mercury retrograde in your 1st house, which is often a time of reflecting back on ourselves. And I did pull the Dragonfly card, which has a lot to do with the quality of our mind. And that's what Mercury is. And especially Mercury being in your sign, it might call into question the quality of your mind lately. Has it been restless? Has it been still? Has it been your ally? Has it been helping you move forward? Because I'm really getting the sense that there's like this very fleeting or movement oriented energy with Mercury that I feel like you guys are meant to be grounding in this particular week and finding some source of self-reflection and space to connect with the earth, with your body, with what makes you feel good, because I really feel like you've just had a lot going on. I feel like there's been a lot of busyness happening, and now it's time to maybe slow down and reflect on this past year, reflect on how you can change the direction of your thoughts in order to best benefit you. And on January 1st, we will have a sextile with Neptune in the third, which I feel like is going to help bring in some of your intuition in order to better have clarity of mind, especially when it's thinking about things of the past. So maybe some topics of the past will come up, some things that have been on your heart, some memories of yours, and your intuition will help kind of guide you through those experiences to gain wisdom and clarity out of them. On January 1st, we will also have Venus conjunct Pluto in your first house, which I feel like could be a time where maybe you get kind of excited about something. Let me pull a card for Venus conjunct Pluto, the starfish. Yeah, I feel like there's something that could make you more excited as well as more attractive, because Venus and Pluto both have a very attractive quality, and I have the starfish in the attraction card. So on this particular day, when your mind starts to have more influence from your imagination and from spirit and support to be kinder to yourself, I'm noticing that on that day you will also, with Venus Pluto, have more attraction element. Maybe you have a heightened interest in your partner if you're, sexually active, or maybe you will have a luckier day in money. That's just a better day to kind of be more magnetic in your essence when Venus and Pluto are together in your first house. On the 2nd, Venus will move into Aquarius, into your second house, which can bring about the potential for more finances, for things to stable out in your finances, or at the very least in your sense of security and confidence. So if you're looking for a particular time to launch something, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily launch during a Mercury retrograde, but if you're just looking for a good time for money to increase, that this can be a good time. We also have Venus making a sextile to Jupiter in the 4th, the following day. And I think that this is going to bring better feelings. I feel like it's going to create more of this feeling of inner stability with yourself. Maybe you feel like your home life starts getting a little bit more stable, especially with that conjunction with Pluto. Maybe things are a little bit more like spicy. Then they start to kind of calm down and become a little bit more gentle and loving in the home environment and in your emotional environment. And then on January 4th, we have the Sun in the first house making a trine to Uranus in the 5th house. This is really great for creativity, and that's something I definitely see with the High Priestess and the Sun card. I feel like you guys are maybe having some exciting new ideas. At the very least, you could be following your intuition in terms of what excites you to do in everyday life. So like, oh, I want to take on this task or interact with this person or have fun with this hobby or go work out today. It's like kind of following your mood. And I'm really seeing that paying off for you in a beautiful way. And if there has been something in your world where you felt like relationships are just not the best, I'm kind of getting the sense that things are going to have a shakeup at this full moon, which is happening on January 6th. So this full moon is in Cancer in your 7th house. So this is all about relationships. And I am seeing that come through as well with these two cards, The Three of Pentacles is normally a card of working together, but being in reverse, it's about trying to just do things alone. This can feel like we're not supported in the way that we want, or like our environment and the people around us are not pulling their weight, or like we're really carrying a lot of the burden in some capacity and can't rely and trust fully on the people around us. But we have the Wheel of Fortune card next to it and the duality card. So I feel like there's something here around you getting a sense of a different type of direction for the connection or this relationship or whatever this is. I feel like you're going to get, with the Wheel of Fortune card next to this, an experience of being really supported by this person or this group of people in your life, and not having to do it all yourself like you normally do. And I think that's why I have the duality card, where you're almost seeing like the contrast here of like, this is how it normally is and this is how it is today at this full moon. And I feel like it's almost going to be liberating of like, oh, this feels so good. It could feel like this all the time. And the full moon is making a sextile to Uranus in the 5th. So I feel like it's going to help you unlock more of your pleasure centers, unlock more of this feeling of bonding and connection with whoever is helping you. It has a potential to make you feel much more alive, make you feel much more excited about the things that you want to do every day. And so, again, I feel like it's representing this contrast of maybe what you normally experience, where there's someone or something in your life that's like not really living up to that expectations. And this moon is also making a square to Chiron on the 4th. So there may be something where you almost like have trouble letting in all of that goodness and receiving because of childhood experiences where maybe you actually also lack that support. And the square with Chiron on the 4th is saying it's time to address that, because you can't fully step into this experience and hold this experience fully for the long term in a constant, stable way until we have first healed our wounding around receiving that we've established from childhood. So if you've been fearful of like fully letting people in, fully saying yes, asking for help, leaning on people, this could be a time in which you're represented or you're shown that contrast of what it could be like if you did allow yourself to have those things. And I feel like intuitively you guys really know what you're supposed to be kind of allowing to happen in your life, if that makes sense, like what things could be like. I feel like you guys can feel it, you can sense it, you can know it, and you're seeing it in this full moon. And with this Phoenix card, you do have the opportunity to make a massive change and start letting that in, rise from the ashes of that difficult childhood experience and not look back, not try to relive that experience on a subconscious level, but fully allow all of the good things to happen to you and that support to come through. And I think that's really the key word here is like, are you going to accept this support, either emotional, physical, or all of the kinds of support, because the universe wants to give it to you and it wants you to be ready to receive it. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Capricorn. If you liked this, if you want a full forecast for the week like this, or if you prefer the newer full moon, comment down below what you guys like, and I will see you next week. Bye. All right, Aquarius Rising or Aquarius Suns. We are going to be looking at your forecast from January 1st to the 7th, and that includes the full moon happening on January 6th in the sign of Cancer, inside of Cancer, in your 6th house. So let's go ahead and start all the way at the beginning, and we are starting off the week, December 29th, with Mercury retrograde in the sign of Capricorn, and that is in your 12th house. And the next day, it will be making a sextile to Neptune in the 1st. So what does this mean? So having Mercury retrograde in the 12th house is interesting because Mercury is usually about our mindset and how busy we are and the things that we have to do, our perspective, our way of communicating and connecting. But when it's in the 12th house, I usually feel like there's something around the past that we are almost being like reminded of, because the 12th house has to do with the past. And when Mercury goes retrograde, it can bring our vision to the past as well. So there may be something where you need some time for contemplation and introspection. I just pulled this cosmic egg card before I hit record, and it's talking about just that. It's saying, find a place of deep and restful ease, perhaps through yoga, nidra, or meditation. Take time for introspection or contemplation. When the mind begins to settle and the breath is calm, ask the question that weighs heaviest on your heart, staying open to any response you hear. And so I feel like this is opening up to some truth within you, some truth in your heart that you need to hear, that is only possible through deep rest and reflection. And Mercury retrograde in the 12th is asking you to take out that time for yourself to connect with your heart and your soul and see what you've been thinking and feeling about something. So this on January 1st, when Mercury sextiles Neptune II, it's going to help facilitate this deeply, to put your mind in a restful state, to connect more with your soul and spirit. Artwork can also be a really great way to do that, producing art and taking the time, though, to have some silence, to reflect on how it makes you feel, things like that, instead of just like always going. There has to be some kind of pause, some kind of rest. Venus is conjunct Pluto in your 12th house as well on January 1st. And so I feel like, and for many of us, this can be showing something of ourselves from the depths. But for you, I feel like it's almost reconnecting you to your desire for creating wealth. And I think that could be for a lot of people. But I'm just getting so much around like wealth and financial independence, and even just like a lot around like material goods, like feeling very loved and supported by the universe, maybe by a partner, but also by like finances from the universe. And I think that there's something around this meditation that you're meant to do, this connection that you're meant to do with your soul, that is going to help show you more information around like abundance and money. There's some kind of connection here with that. Like there's something that you really are igniting your passion for finances, or something that will come through this meditation. So it could be you getting a vision of how to create those finances, or you kind of knowing that next right step, or removing limiting beliefs and blocks that you've had in the past around having a certain amount of money. So there's something around your desire for wealth that I feel like is going to come through this meditation if you allow it. And it will be very prosperous for you. You will have Venus also moving into your first house on January 2nd, which I think is going to bring about this Queen and King of Pentacles that I'm seeing here, which is incredible to have both of these on the same reading. And if you have a partner, this could also indicate that your partner is doing well financially as well. Or if you work with somebody, it could indicate some kind of financial prosperity for two people. I'm seeing a lot of financial independence, having more leadership, basically giving tasks to people, like not being the errand boy, but being the one who finally has money to now pay someone to go get you groceries or to help you with a certain task in your work. Like you can pay for help. And that's really something I'm seeing here, is the potential for just more financial prosperity, especially because on the 3rd, January 3rd, we have Venus and sextiling Jupiter in your 3rd house. So you might meet more people in your network or in your community that can help foster this attraction to wealth. And I'm really seeing that here with the affection card as well. Yes, it could represent relationships, stuff like that. But I think really you're just becoming more attractive to the things that you want. And it has a Taurus sign on here. So it's ruled by Venus, which is moving into your first house, like I mentioned. So definitely a lot in terms of like wealth, prosperity coming through. But I think it's important to have that meditation at the beginning of the week in order to set yourself up for this uninhibited success. You also have the Sun in the 12th making a trine to Uranus in the 4th. So I think many of you guys are removing some. First of all, you might be a little bit tired having the Sun in the 12th house. I have always noticed that I'm a little bit more tired and confused, but you're about to enter your season and Venus is just moving into your first house. So things are starting to pick up a little bit and you're able to let go of more stuff from the past and feel more emotionally liberated to start this new venture. Because I do feel like you guys are having some kind of new opportunity come in with this Ace of Cups. There's something new coming in for work with this full moon on January 6th. And this trine with the Sun and Uranus in the 4th is going to help you maybe release any baggage from the past of things not working out or things being hard or you having emotional qualms with things. And then you're going to have this new horizon, and like you can fully dedicate yourself to that new horizon. And that is the full moon happening on January 6th in your 6th house in Cancer. Whenever I see a new moon or full moon in 6th house, it's usually some kind of culmination in your workplace, which can represent like getting a new job, having some kind of like blow up at your job where things, well, I mean, things could be bad, but this moon looks good. So I think it's going to be a good one. But in general, it could indicate like things taking off or having more stability, more prosperity, things aligning, things flowing, especially in Cancer. You know, it's all about things flowing like water. It's a water sign, and feeling good emotionally. So I feel like you guys are having maybe an emotional realization, but also feeling more connected to your work because of those realizations or because of new opportunities coming in for you. And this moon is making a sextile to Uranus in the 4th house. So I feel like it's going to feel just really freeing, really good, because maybe you've been holding on to some kind of tension and this is your opportunity to really release it. You just have to not let yourself get caught up in the mindset of worry, because sometimes we can still worry about, you know, well, this job came through, but what about the next one? And it's like, how is that going to be? And it's just good to stay present in the moment, grounded, focus on the good that's coming in. And that's going to help you continue to cultivate more and more abundance into your life. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Aquarius. If you enjoyed this, if you're looking forward to that cash money, let me know in the comments down below. And I hope to see you guys next week. Bye. All right. And lastly, we have Pisces. So this is your forecast from January 1st to the 7th. We are not just doing the new and full moons, although I am including them into these weekly forecasts. If you enjoy this style, then comment down below and let me know. Or if you prefer just the new and full moons every other week, then also let me know and I'll just do whatever you guys like. All right, so we're going to take a look at the very beginning of the week and a little bit before that when Mercury goes retrograde in the sign of Capricorn on December 29th in your 11th house. Definitely a big moment for you guys. I'm getting some strong energy from your cards, and I feel like this Mercury retrograde is part of this, where we're having a major reassessment of your future goals. The 11th house has to do with our community, our friendships. So maybe for some of you, it could be coming in around that, like how you feel socially, how you feel connected, and you're kind of maybe reassessing the way that you've invested into your relationships, where you've put your time, where you haven't put your time. But for many of you, I think it also will be related to your long-term goals. Like, who do I want to be? Where do I want to go? What's my presence in this world? And we're going to talk about that more with the full moon on January 6th coming up. But this is where those questions start to begin and a good time to analyze them. Then on January 1st, we have Mercury making a sextile to Neptune. So this is going to, Neptune's your 1st house. So this is going to help inspire you about what that vision could be, get you excited and imaginative about who you want yourself to be. And I feel like there's some just very healing, very pure, beautiful energy that's coming through, where it just feels like it's your best and highest self without any of the limitations. So very, very fun and exciting day to dream. But on that same day, we also have Venus conjunct Pluto. So it's going to be making you intensely aware of, in some ways, where you maybe have been settling for less, where you maybe haven't been valuing yourself as intensely as you should, how your community and your friends and your environment has made an impact on you. Where are your values in your long-term goals? Like what it is that you really, really desire. And if something isn't living up, it's going to become living up to that is going to become very apparent. And that could create a little bit of discomfort for a little while, because I do see with the Knight of Pentacles in reverse and the Magician, I feel like you guys are moving from a stage of dedicating yourself consistently to one craft, to one specific thing. And you're going into a stage of asking yourself if there's something else, asking yourself if maybe I'll walk away from that and instead start to create a new vision for myself. And you're starting to concoct it, throwing in the different ingredients, getting excited. But there's still something in that which I feel like you guys are lacking a plan. You're not exactly sure how it's going to manifest. And I think for some of you, you might actually be limiting what you think is possible with this Devil card. That, if you're not limiting yourself, or you will feel a little bit fearful of not having a plan and taking such a big risk. Because maybe you guys are going to stop doing one important thing that you've been doing consistently. And that feels like a huge risk and a huge unknown. And it's bringing up fears and inner limitations. So there's something on here where there's a lot of unplanned and trusting that has to happen this week, I should say. And for many of you guys, it could just bring about a lot of important questions, even existential questions at times, about what you're here for and what you're capable of and what you really want and all of those things. And then on January 2nd, Venus will move into Aquarius in your 12th house, which will begin the time of uncertainty. Venus moving through your 12th house can make us go into like almost like a slumber mode where we are given the opportunity to connect more with our souls and with our spirit and move a little bit less away from the super planned analytical side of our lives. It's a time in which we are putting our values into rest, into reflection, into connection with our soul, into integration. And so it's not going to be as much of this Capricorn energy as we typically see. We're going to feel a little bit more kind of withdrawn. And that's an important period of time where you're going to go within and realign yourself with the Stingray and the regeneration card. You're going to realign yourself with what it is that you really need. So I think it's a lot about getting your energy on board, aligning your chakras, feeling like you're aligned in your life and choices and actions and feelings. And regeneration, I feel like, is giving you more energy, like pouring energy into love, into self-love, into healing. That is the focus very strongly during this week when Venus starts to move into your 12th. And it is going to be there for a little while. So it's going to be continued focus for a little while, is how can I heal myself? How can I give myself love? How can I fortify my confidence? So that if I do kind of venture out on this new thing, I am coming from a place of being really rested, really nourished on a soul level, and I can make decisions from that beautiful, enriched place instead of exhausted and pushing when you're not really sure where to go next. So very important advice. Venus will also sextile Jupiter on January 3rd, which is great for finances. So I don't think you have to worry about money necessarily. That's not really something I'm seeing. I think that this rest will be good for you, and I don't think you'll regret it. I don't think it will take a hit to your life or your business in any significant way with that sextile there. You also have the Sun on January 4th making a sextile to Uranus in your 3rd. So Sun 11th, Uranus in 3rd, great for social connections. So in terms of trying to understand what's next for you, this is a really important time to connect with other people. So if you're looking for an astrology reading, to go grab an astrology reading. If you're looking to talk to your partner, if you have a community of like-minded business owners or friends, this is your time to connect with them, because on the 4th, you have the potential to have some information come in through other people that can help you on your path, that can give you that sense of a little bit of knowing what's out there that you might not have thought about before. So there's something freeing, something liberating, something larger than where you are or what you're thinking about right now that other people are going to bring to the equation. So don't forget that, January 4th. Now let's talk about this full moon on the 6th. So you are going to have a full moon in Cancer in your 5th house, and it's making a sextile to Uranus in the 3rd. So I do feel like some idea, when you're in this regeneration phase, I feel like some idea is going to come to you about how to pursue what you want in a way that is more aligned with who you are. So maybe there is something that you've always been interested in studying, or maybe there is some hobby that you've always been really good at, or there's some natural talent that you've always kind of wanted to integrate into your work or into your life in some capacity or into your relationship. There's something that you haven't fully stepped into that you have the potential to do now that requires a new way of perceiving your limitations, a new way of perceiving your boundaries, I guess. So it's basically imagining that so much more is possible than you imagined before. We're seeing the world through a totally different lens. Like, what if I did exactly what I love to do? What if I put more of myself into this hobby, into this business, into this version of my life? Like, what if I could live really, really in alignment? And I feel like that's the key word for you this week. What does it look like to live 100% in alignment with my best and truest, highest self? And there are little fixes that Mercury retrograde is going to help you start to notice that you can make. But you need the time to rest and reflect with Venus in your 12th to understand what your values are, which will then inform also where you need to be headed. Not just like what your gifts are, but also what you value. And combining those things will help compute kind of the next directions. And that's what I feel like this full moon is going to give you. But for many of you, with this full moon squaring Chiron on the 2nd, you might still feel, while you feel optimistic and your mind is kind of filled with exciting ideas, you might still feel a little bit of insecurity around stepping out onto a new path. And this could especially come from not being certain about how much money you're going to make or if it's going to pay off for you in the long run, and feeling like you're a little bit risk averse and uncertain about taking a chance on something. And I really feel like that message came through this week as well for you throughout the week. So if that's the case for you, it's really important to stick to your why and to understand that whenever we are living 100% in our essence and we are following our path, we're going to be supported anyway. And like, there's going to be ways that you can make it work. Even if things are up and down at times, there's honestly nothing more fulfilling than doing what is 100% aligned with you. And at some point it's going to pay off. So if that means that you need to still hold on to your job while pursuing this, then do that. But not giving up on the dream for this desire of security. I think that's something that you're going to have to turn away from, is maybe some old money that you made, and that could bring up some fears within you, but it will be so worth it in the long run. I promise you, you can make so much more money when you are aligned with who you are. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Pisces. If you enjoyed the week-long reading, let me know down in the comments below, or if you prefer the moon to moon one, I can do that as well. And I hope you have a beautiful one. Bye.